All right, class. So, talking about blood typing, I have made a very detailed video on blood typing where I talk about the ABO blood group, the RH blood group. Please review the blood typing videos over and over because you will have hard questions on your quizzes based on blood typing. So on your exam or on your quiz, I might give you questions like, okay, this person has blood type A minus or A negative, and this person has blood type AB positive. Do you think person A can donate to person B? Why or why not? So the questions will test your understanding and critical thinking abilities. And in order to be successful, you have to make sure you understand the concepts of blood transfusion. Again, I repeat, there will be not couple, actually more, 3 or 4 hard questions based on blood typing and blood transfusion. So please pay attention to my videos. All right. So the video covers all these, so I'm not going over these one more time. Moving on to moving on to leukocytes or white blood cells. First thing I want you to know that the white blood cells are larger. They are larger than the red blood cells. And the white blood cells, they have nucleus and they have organelles. And they do not carry hemoglobin. They are 1.5 to 3 times larger than RBCs, and they actually elicit immune response and help us fight against multiple pathogens. Leukocytes can be classified into 2 broad groups. The column on the very right hand side is showing us the granulocytes, and not the column on the very left hand side. Sorry, just ignore that. 3 cells. Do you see the neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophil? Eosinophil, neutrophil, and basophil. If you look at these ones, you do see that the cytoplasm has granules. Do you see how the cytoplasm has granules? The granules are nothing but the organelles. Now these cells are packed with organelles, and when stained, these organelles pick up the stain and they look like granules. And together, eosinophil, neutrophil, and basophil, they are called granulocytes. Monocyte and lymphocyte, if you notice, they do not have prominent granules, and that's why they are called agranulocytes. For the leukocytes, for the different types of leukocytes, your textbook is very detailed and very informative. However, for testing purpose, just stick to the PowerPoint. That's it. Okay, now leukocytes, how do they respond or how do they fight against infections? Okay, let's take a look at the picture in the right hand side. So you are poked by a nail, right? Let's say something has poked you, and the orange rods, those are bacterial cells. The orange rods are bacterial cells that you see on the top. The bacterial cells are producing some signaling molecules. Now, if you look at the bottom of the diagram, you see blood vessel, right? And the blood vessel has some green arrows associated, and you see the red blood cells floating around. You also see the yellow colored white blood cells, which are larger than the red blood cells. The white blood cells with big nuclei, they leave the bloodstream. Do you see that? Why are they leaving? What is triggering them to leave? Well, look at the signaling molecules that are secreted by the bacteria. So in response to the blue balls or the signaling molecules, the white blood cells leave the blood vessels, and this process of leaving the blood vessels by the white blood cells is called diapedesis. Class, sorry, hold on for a minute. Are you cold? Danku, go and ask Dimi for a sweater. বাবাকে একটা সোয়েটার পরিয়ে দাও তো, ঠান্ডা লাগছে. Sorry about that. Okay. So that's diapedesis, the process by which the white blood cells leave the blood vessel. So they're leaving by the process of diapedesis, and then the white blood cells actually travel or migrate to the site of infection. And the migration, the process is called chemotaxis. Chemotaxis means movement in response to chemical signal. So the chemical signals are the blue balls, and the blood cells are moving towards the site of infection in response to the chemical signal by the process called chemotaxis. Okay. Leukocytes, two types. I did talk about this in the hand-drawn slide. We have granulocytes and agranulocytes. 3 types of granulocytes and 2 types of agranulocytes. Looking at the granulocyte again, just know the information on the PowerPoint. That's it. The first one is neutrophil. As you can see, it has 3 to 5 lobes of nucleus. This particular one has 1, 2, 3 lobes of the nucleus, and you do see granules. So 3 to 5 lobes of the nucleus with light purple granules. They are the neutrophils, and they perform phagocytosis of bacteria. Eosinophil has a bilobed nucleus, and you see red or dark pink type of granules. They fight parasitic infections. Basophil have many dark blue granules, B for blue granules, and the granules are so big that it pretty much obscures the bilobed nucleus. Basophil releases histamine. Looking at the agranulocytes, we have lymphocyte with a large nucleus. Remember, lymphocyte, large nucleus. The nucleus is so big that it takes up most space in the cytoplasm, and you just see a thin halo of cytoplasm in the periphery. And the lymphocyte is associating with making antibodies. Then we have monocyte. Monocytes have kidney bean-shaped nucleus. It is not bilobed, it's kidney bean-shaped. And the monocyte form macrophages. The easy way to remember, never let monkeys eat bananas. N for neutrophil, L for lymphocyte, M for monocyte, E for eosinophil, and B for basophil. Platelets, as I mentioned before, platelets are not true cells, they are cell fragments. If you look at the picture on the right hand side, you do see an artery. Inside the artery, you see the red blood cells in red. Those are the disc-shaped cells. And you also see the white blood cells, right? And then scattered, you have these tiny pieces. Those tiny pieces are platelets. Remember, they're not true cells. They're cell fragments that come from larger cells called megakaryocytes. You do not have to remember megakaryocyte for testing purpose. They are super tiny. Platelets are super tiny. And they help in blood clotting. The end